Hi, it's Kristen, and these are my goals for 2025. So if you see my wrap up, you know that my goals last year did not go brilliantly overall. So I really had to reassess what my goals were, what I wanted to be achieving, and like make some goals that, whether they were easy or not, I felt like I could definitely do, and then have some goals that were pushing myself, and then just generally have goals that like I'm in the mood for, at least currently. So some goals have been carried over from last year, or they're just something that maybe I didn't achieve but I want to try and achieve, or I just had a good time doing them so I want to continue in that way. But I'm not gonna get too stressed about any of these goals. They're more aims, if that's a different thing to a goal. Not really. Okay, so my first goal is to read 50 books. This has been a goal for the past couple of years and I've achieved it. So it's doable. However, hand in hand with my next goal, it's questionable. So I know I can read 50 books in a year because I've done it before. But my second goal is to read some big books. I don't typically read big books. I used to when I was younger. I feel like I read bigger fantasy books and then I sort of fell off that. But then last year I read The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi, and I had a great time with that, reading a big chunky fantasy that I was like really getting into. That was like nearly 500 pages, I think. And a lot of the books that have been sitting on my TBR for quite a while are bigger, chunkier books, and they're ones that I feel like I need to get to because they've been sat on my TBR for so long. So I want to read some bigger books, but that may hinder the 50 book goal. But this is also why, even though I've achieved 50 books for the past couple of years, I didn't up that number because I knew that I wanted to read some big books this year. So I didn't want to say like aim to read 55, 60 books, knowing that potentially I've got a lot of 400 to 600 plus page books in my future potentially. So there's my first two goals. Goal 3 is to read more books than I buy. I almost achieved this last year. 2023 was a wild year for buying books and reading books, and was really out of proportion. I bought way more books than I read. 2024 was pretty good. I only bought 5 more books than I read off my physical TBR. I read more books than I hauled in general, but if we're talking physical TBR, I physically acquired 36 books and I read 31 books from my physical TBR. Other books like borrowed audiobooks, etc. So I want to read more books than I buy. And I guess I mean than I acquire, because some books were like gifted to me. So it's not just books I buy, just read more books than I acquire. 4 is a goal I'm carrying over from last year, which is to read more non-fiction that I own. I read a lot of non-fiction on audiobook. So I'm reading non-fiction and that's fun and that's great, and I'm listening to, biographies and memoirs and other non-fiction about topics that I enjoy, but they're not coming off my TBR, and I've got quite a lot of non-fiction on my TBR at this point, so I need to be getting to the non-fiction that I actually own so I can have read it and get it off my TBR. So carrying that goal over from last year. Another goal I'm carrying over is to read more classics. Last year I really felt like I wanted to read a bunch of classics because I hadn't for quite a while, and then I read some, but not as many, and I didn't read the ones I was really excited to read, like Cranford and Jane Eyre, which I've been meaning to read for a long time, and I didn't get to those. So I would like to read more classics in general, but especially get to the ones that I've been meaning to read and excited to read and just not got around to for whatever reason. Goal 6 is a new one for me, and it's to allow myself to mood read more. I think I get so hung up on doing themed videos, whether it's reading pirate books, reading witchy books, whatever else I've done. And sometimes I'm just not in the mood to read those things, and so I force myself to read them so I can get a video up, and then I'm not enjoying what I'm reading. And perhaps, like, if I'd actually waited till I was in the mood for that book, I would have enjoyed it more. So I'm gonna let myself mood read more, and sometimes I can still do a video around that. Last year there was a point in the, I think, summer where I really wasn't sure what I wanted to read, and so I got out this pack of TBR cards that my sister gave me, and I just pulled prompts from there, and they were like loose enough prompts that I could be mood reading, picking what I wanted to read, what I was in the mood for, but still sort of guided me a little bit so I wasn't overwhelmed by my options. And that worked really well, and I mood read and I had a great time. I read some really good books. I had a really lovely time reading those books. I really enjoyed myself and what I was reading, and I did actually still make a video out of it. So I mood read and managed to make a video. So I might, I guess, go hand in hand with that, do some more just random reading vlogs. Goal 7 is to read as many books from my 30 before 30 list as I can. I feel like I need to do away with the read these 30 books, because I made that goal last year when I turned 29, and then within the rest of the year I think I read like 3 of the books off that list. So within the next 4 or 5 months, I need to read like 27 of those books, and a lot of them were big books. Again, goes with my read some big books goal. So I don't think I'm gonna get to all of them. So my goal is to just read as many as I can. I'm not gonna get worried about reading all 30. I'm gonna work out which ones I want to prioritize and what I'm in the mood for and read those. So I don't think I'm going to complete that list, but I'd like to read as much of that list as possible. Number 8 is, I think, one carried over from last year as well, which is to post more consistently on my channel. Like I said in my wrap up, sometimes that is slightly out of my control. I had a lot of like tech issues last year, which meant even though I was reading and maybe even filming, when it came to like editing and getting stuff uploaded, it went up later than I wanted. So we will see. I'm gonna aim to do it more consistently and not go like a whole month without posting anything. But it's a goal, but I'm not gonna get too worked up about it. And my 9th goal, I feel like I should have come up with a nice 10, but this is my last goal. My 9th goal is to just write. Last year, my goal was to write some of like a specific book that I had been working on, and then I just didn't, because I felt like I needed to get myself reacquainted with that book. But I also wasn't necessarily in the mood to write that, and I had other ideas that I wanted to work on, but I felt like I couldn't until I'd finished that idea, or at least worked on that idea. So this year I feel like it doesn't matter what I write, I just want to write, because I love writing, I love being creative, I love talking through ideas with friends. So maybe I'll revisit that idea that I had and that I'd meant to work on last year and the year before and I didn't. Maybe I'll write that, maybe I'll write something new, and yeah, I'll just see what ideas I have, where they take me, what I'm excited to work on. Again, a bit like the mood reading, maybe I just allow myself to mood write. So yes, those are all my goals. I feel like they're not as stringent, not as like focused and set as previous years when I've not achieved my goals. There's not as much of like a time frame I have to do things within. There's not as many like stats that I feel like I need to meet. They're more chilled, loose. If I do this, that's cool. If I don't, it's no big deal. I'm just aiming to read more of a genre or more of a type of thing, and, you know, tamper down my book buying rather than going, I have to meet this number, I have to do this thing, I have to do this thing. So I feel better about my goals and I think they're more achievable, and just with like the mood I'm in and where I'm at in my life at the moment mentally, I feel like these are goals I could achieve, and we will see at the end of 2025 or like the very beginning of 2026 if I have achieved any of these, how I've done, how I'm feeling, if I am feeling positive, if I just completely get rid of having goals. We will see, but I'm feeling positive. Have you got any reading goals or just like bookish goals in general? Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you soon with another video. Bye!